Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. And before we start, I'd like to once again invite all of you that enjoy my content but haven't yet subscribed. Just go ahead and click that button, it's right there. Now let's get started with today's main story. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user Strange Mistake 5. How do I, 32 female, protect my work relationships from a bad nepotistic hire? I work for a small company with 11 employees, soon to be 16. I like my job and almost everyone I work with, except for one member of the senior team I'll call Gavin, 40 male. Gavin isn't at the top of the food chain, but he has a lot of clout, as the CEO really likes him and handpicked him to join the company based on their past relationship. Most of the people at my company have worked with each other before in past roles or know each other personally. Hiring friends is the norm, though I'm one of the few outsiders. This hasn't been an issue at all up until recently when Gavin hired his wife Donna, female 39, to work part-time at the company and asked her to work on some of my projects without consulting me first. I only found out she was going to share projects with me on the day she started. Unfortunately, Donna is not experienced or naturally talented in the work she's been assigned. She's been insecure, needy, and anxious from day one and lacks the basic skills necessary to do her job well. I've tried to help her adjust because I would actually welcome some help with my workload, but she pulls me into meetings for an hour or two every time she's in the office, asking me really basic questions and/or just quietly panicking at me. She also does this with the CEO, who she knows personally through Gavin. I've tried to pull away a little bit by not responding instantly to her Slack messages and not accepting every meeting she's tried to book with me. The result has been that she's started interrupting me in meetings, asking basic but usually inappropriate questions addressed to me, and I don't think she's intentionally undermining me because she's always grateful when I help her, but I'm finding it hard to stay patient. Gavin, of course, always chimes in to support her in team meetings. I've also tried to build my one-on-one relationships with Donna, so there's enough trust to establish boundaries, but unfortunately, I can't really find much common ground with her. She's quite negative, complaining loudly that no one at the company has their crap together, and I feel like she probably says the same things about me to her husband and the CEO outside of the office. There are very subtle signs that the CEO may be starting to realize that hiring her wasn't a great idea. If she wasn't Gavin's wife, I think she'd definitely be on her way out, so I think my best strategy here is to wait this out and try to stay calm. However, the CEO booked a one-on-one with me next week, and if he asks me about Donna, I'm not sure what I'll say. I feel the resentment growing, not just at Gavin and Donna, but also at the CEO for not establishing a fair work environment. I don't want to ruin my place in the company over this. My question is, how do I handle Donna while covering my own ass? And what should I say if asked about what I think of Donna's work? Well, P, you are in a difficult situation considering how nepotism is just part of the work environment over there, but let's see if we can navigate this thing. Now, one question I would have is Donna your direct report? Like, are you in charge of training her or something? If not, well, then maybe you could suggest that. If he asks you about Donna and her quality of work, you could say that she has growth opportunities, to put it in a very nice and corporate lingo, which really means that she's not completely fulfilling with her job description and needs a lot of help to get it done. Now, regarding how to cover your ass, I would start keeping a log of the things that you don't get to do because your time has gone elsewhere, aka helping out Donna. Unfortunately for us who live on Earth, time is not elastic, which means that an hour or two away from your job because you need to help Donna or you're in a meeting with her or she's just panicking at you are 1 or 2 hours of time that you cannot use on your own projects. So when the boss comes calling and says, hey, why aren't you done with these things yet? You need to tell him, look, I spent this week 15 hours telling Donna not to panic. Now, apart from that, just like you've already decided, I would let it play out because she's either gonna get fired or she's gonna be placed on a different role. I mean, that's assuming that the CEO doesn't want to shoot the bottom line on the foot. And what do you guys think about OP's situation, or how would you handle a nepotistic hire like this? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Some Zero says, you have the right idea. Play it cool for the time being and let her incompetence do the work for you. Do your best to maintain a good and helpful relationship. This is for your benefit, not hers. If asked in your one-on-one about her, phrase things in the most positive and helpful way you can, but be truthful. These are not mutually exclusive. I have learned the hard way that in situations like this, being right is not enough to protect you from fallout from going up against a nepotistic hire. No Place Like Gnome says, don't go into this unprepared. This meeting may also be in your performance. Have you missed any deadlines? The wife may have complained that you aren't taking the time to train her. I would have a list and length of all the meetings you've attended with her and the list of the ones you denied and what you were working on that you felt it was necessary to deny them. Edited to say, I don't mean take a list in with you, obviously. Just have the information at your disposal in case you need to make a rebuttal to her claiming you are unhelpful. Had Some Topcoats says, my advice, be honest but tactful and focus on the impact to your work. Even though she's obviously frustrating as hell, don't share that. Say things like, it's hard for me to spend the time I need on my own tasking when Donna is asking me to meet with her several hours a day. For example, on both Tuesday and Wednesday, I sat with her for 90 minutes answering questions. Is there a better way for me to be handling that? The document she produced needed an extra 2 hours of editing before we could give it to the client. Act in the manner that you aren't complaining, simply giving him information about how things are going, and if this is what he wants, then that's fine with you. And if he indicates that he doesn't want to hear negative things, then stop going down that road for your own sake. But you can't expect him to fix things if nobody has told him what needs fixing. You need to give him a chance to be a good manager until you see that he's not going to take that chance. Additional information from OP's comments. I'm sure at this point Donna realizes this is not a good situation. In fact, she realized it almost before she even started the job based on her behavior. In the past, Gavin has behaved in ways that show a lack of self-awareness, so I'm not sure to what extent he feels accountable for this situation. It wouldn't surprise me if he were worried way more about her panicking than her actual performance. However, it's at a level where she sometimes asks the CTO or me how to use her computer because it's a make she's never used before, rather than just Googling the information herself. She's entitled for sure. We actually had an outsider in the company with a similar but not quite as bad work ethic or level of experience as Donna, who was fired for incompetence after about 6 weeks, and Gavin was the one leading the call for her head, so to speak. He's also called me out publicly on occasions where he's thought I've been wrong about stuff, and only the CEO has ever stood up for me. So it's hard not to feel resentment towards him as this unfolds. Still, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, and it's relatively early days. I think in this case, Gavin will try to avoid getting involved in any hiring or firing decision about Donna, but I don't think he'll behave with more humility either. As for the CEO, I think he probably just doesn't know what to do yet, but he has taken the lead on difficult decisions in the past. I know he values my work, and I think he's actually a good leader most of the time. I'd like to support him, but if he doesn't approach me first, I still think I'm going to keep quiet unless things get really bad. If we do end up discussing this, I'll try to be as pragmatic as most of you have suggested. I still like the company and want to work here, but how this unfolds will influence whether I decide to stay or not. And honestly, if I take the fallout for some reason, I won't feel bad about leaving or being fired. Donna's performance at the very least should help the senior team realize my job isn't easy, and they can't just hire someone off the street to do it. OP's edit. Whoa, this blew up. Thanks all for your comments and advice. I just read everything. And to clarify a few things. 1. Donna isn't my direct report. We don't have managers at our company, so technically no one is her boss. I wasn't asked to train her, but when I found out on her first day she'd been told to support some of my projects, I sort of had to step in. 2. I don't know if the CEO is going to mention Donna in our meeting, but I don't like being caught off guard, so I'm thinking more of a what if. 3. She doesn't have a job description or title, so I understand her anxiety to some extent as our environment is pretty chaotic. Given her personal connections, I told her she could probably just define her own role and give herself any title she wants, but she hasn't done it. 4. I don't ignore her messages, I've just stopped responding immediately because it F's up my focus. 5. I'm not the only person she's doing this to. She also naturally books Gavin and the CEO into long meetings. She's the only one who gets this level of attention from the senior team in the company, and it's not really sustainable in any case. And 6. The work I've tried to help her do is still substandard, which is mainly what's worrying me, and she doesn't really have the right mindset for this type of business that I've seen. She might get away with it as just an average employee in a big company, but in this setting, it's glaringly obvious. She's made references a few times that she's been near quitting from stress, so I really don't want to get any more involved in this unless I have to. I don't want to get her fired, but her flailing around taking up my time is indeed disruptive to my ability to get things done, especially right now because I have additional project work on top of my daily responsibilities. I would just talk to her, but I'm afraid she'll take it totally the wrong way because she's so wound up, and I already have a not great relationship with her husband, so I don't want any of that backsplash. My best case scenario is that the CEO takes over her coaching completely if he wants her to stay. I don't feel like I can ask for that directly, but maybe I could angle for it. Alright, well, it sounds like the community did help OP according to her own words, and OP also gave us a lot of information regarding the whole dynamic over there and what she wants to accomplish. So now it's time that we move on to the update to see how the story ends, but before that, I'd like to ask you that if you like this video so far, please click that like button or maybe write a comment about the situation. Now let's move on with that update. Since my story got way more interest than I anticipated, I thought I'd give an update. Now that a couple of months have passed, I don't know how any of the 3 people involved in the decision to hire her thought it was a good idea. I wish I knew who actually pushed for this to happen and why. It's just baffling to me to go through all this and let it cause so much stress when the CEO had someone in the wings anyways. But I guess this is why I'm not senior management. Anyway, on to what happened. The CEO didn't want to talk to me about Donna, and I didn't bring it up in the meeting a few weeks ago. However, everything kind of came to a head last week when Gavin started telling other people on the team that a few of us, including me, were making his wife feel awkward. I think some of the original commenters predicted this would happen, albeit in a slightly different way. He didn't tell me directly, and I found out from the other people who had been accused. I then decided to talk to the CEO about Gavin. I didn't mention Donna or her work quality, but I wanted his advice and input on whether I was making anyone uncomfortable. I also gave my side of the story, focusing on how the accusation dampened my morale and pointing out that I feel like an outsider sometimes since most people in the company are old friends. Fortunately for me, he didn't see things the same way as Gavin did and said he would speak to him. Nepotism is a business killer. 2 siblings ran my last company and it was a nightmare. I told myself I wouldn't work for a nepotistic company again, and well, here we are. Although to be fair, the wife of the co-founder worked with us for a while and she was absolutely brilliant. She wasn't there because she needed a job or some weird relationship boost for the founder. She was there because she had a specialist knowledge of something that would have been expensive to hire externally and was a temporary position to help everyone else in the company. She was also a nice person and didn't crap talk, unlike Donna, which made it a lot easier to like her, irrespective of her skills. However, I understand that being the wife of someone on the management team must be hard, especially if they are not the absolute top dog, like in Gavin's case. Still, I think my current CEO is genuinely a great person though. He'd like to help people he knows, but it's not just about giving kickbacks to his mates. Honestly, until Donna started, I had no issues with everyone already knowing each other, as everyone else besides her and Gavin is respectful and brilliant at their job. There will be fallout for sure. Gavin is all stick and no carrot at the best of times, but I don't think he'll be able to get away with much in the short term. The company founders respect him, but he's not invincible. The CEO made that pretty clear in our chat. If he does anything really stupid, like try and make it harder for me to do my job out of revenge, it'll only harm the company, and I feel he lacks the interpersonal skills to turn the others against me. Anyway, after the meeting, the CEO quietly removed Donna from my projects and reassigned her to something small and not really connected to the core business objectives. He's also now interviewing someone from outside the circle of friends and family to make on the lion's share of what Donna was originally assigned to do. Gavin has been told to provide more direct support for Donna, which he seems annoyed about but obviously isn't going to fight. For what it's worth, I think Donna will be long gone by this time next year. The next problem will be that we don't have the resources to do the vanity project she's been assigned to, though of course everyone is being supportive. I'm just relieved it's not overlapping with my workload anymore. Well, OP, sounds to me like the situation took the best possible turn. I mean, not only is she out of your project so you can focus on your work, but you're also gonna get somebody else assigned to the work that she was supposed to do, and now Gavin is the one that has to deal with all of his wife's problems inside the company. So yeah, all in all, I have to say, I think this is a really good outcome. So here's wishing the best in the future to you, OP. Thank you so much for sharing and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Relationships and it's by user, I'd like to say Phoenix. Google it, it took me 2 minutes. So I was working part-time for this startup firm. The firm is related to hydrogen production and I had the task of finding suppliers who would be willing to build us a prototype scale hydrogen separators from syngas. Now, I will call the technology needed PHF, porous hollow fibers, and it is a very highly researched technology, and almost any string that you search, you are going to come across tons and tons of research papers on the topic. I did, of course, use a variety of tricks for efficiency and filtering results, and so I managed to find some sources. It did take me more than a day or two to filter the sites to find some reliable sources. Now, besides me, there was this other senior PhD professor who was also helping with this task. He said to my boss, "There is the site, check it." And I was given the recording of that phone to follow it up. And for the love of all that is good, I couldn't decipher the name of the firm that our PhD guy was talking. I asked my boss very nicely. What I was overhearing was this John firm, but no matter what type of string I searched, I could not find something relevant to what we needed. My boss eventually caved in, talked to the professor again and got the name of it, text this time. Now, the site was Johnson Matthey, and if you are familiar with that site, it's mainly a catalyst manufacturing site, I believe. And besides that, it has tons of scholarly article reviews. I had already gone through that site, and I knew there was nothing but a paper about the tech we were looking for. So I told my boss that this is a research site, and they don't sell products like that. At most, I can find tons of catalysts on it, and that is all. My boss assured me that he's a PhD, he knows better, and I should just go and look. I spent more than 2 hours on that site, looking up every single reference to hydrogen, separator, and fibers, and eventually told my boss the same thing. That is not what the site is for. So the next day, when I came to the office, my boss started sending me Telegram messages, and I was screen notification reading it. Boss sends, link, and then Google is free, it took me 2 minutes. I read that from screen notifications, rolled my eyes, gave it 5 minutes, and then tabbed into the links to read through. Now, unfortunately, my boss edited out the message, "It took me 2 minutes," but I knew he had sent it earlier. So I go through my boss's links, and I kid you not, the first link was about cars, and the second link was about catalysts, and the third link was about a rooftop firm that uses a sort of membrane. And just like the amazing employee that I am, smiley face, I took the next 3 hours of my time taking notes on everything that was on those sites and making a report. Then I told my boss, "Hey, so I spent some time on those websites that you sent me. Website A was about XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. Website B was about, etc., etc. You get the gist. And after my report was over, I said, I have very diligently viewed the sites that you forwarded me, but as I reported earlier, I could not find any relevance to what we're looking for. However, if you want me to pursue it further, I can write them an email to inquire too. The sources that I have found have already been verified to possess the tech that we are looking for. Sadly, while searching takes a click, filtering the results is the real work. Another smiley face? Even though boss person still made me email Johnson Matty and I forwarded their confused reply back to my boss, I still felt good to see how boss's 2 minutes worked out. And boss's passive aggressiveness grew, lol, and I just had to quit before I sunk to the same level, lol. It just sucks when they don't want to listen. You had to tell him in 3 different ways that it wasn't what he was looking for, and still he thought he was right. Anyways, serves him right that you quit OP. Thanks so much for sharing. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.